It's not really easy to be different, to be the odd one out, to stand out, to be the minority. But I think for the majority of my life, oh my gosh, for most of my life, I think I've always kind of been the odd one out, or I've always found myself in situations where I've always been different. So maybe I got used to it because during that period, I it was hard. Like I wasn't used to it, but now whenever I find myself in similar situations, like it doesn't really bother me anymore. I think a lot of people struggle with being different, being the odd one out, not fitting in, especially during that teenage period. Everybody's trying to discover themselves, explore, and a lot of people have identity crisis because they try to attach themselves or define themselves through other people's eyes. And I think it's really important to stay true to yourself, but at the same time not offend other people in the process, if you know, if possible. As you know, this is Rika Girly Speaks. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video with someone that you feel needs to hear this, or someone that's struggling with this, and let's go. A PK. I think I've already said that before. So I'm a PK. My family moved to the US. I'm Nigerian. My family moved to the US when I was 8 years old, and that was 2006. And then we came back to Nigeria 2015. Oh yeah, it was different. I was a random kid, fresh off the boat, African girl with her rubber hair and her turtleneck, because my mom did not want us to catch a cold, so she used to like bundle us up with so many clothes during the winter time. So I was the only Nigerian. I was only Seventh-day Adventist girl a lot of times in my class. And on the volleyball team, I was the only black girl. When I moved to Penn High School, I was the only black girl, and like it's either I was the only black girl, or I was the only African girl, or I was the only Seventh-day Adventist girl. So, and people knew, my name, Ife. Even amongst my friends, I think I moved with a diverse group of people. Most of the time I was the only black person, only African, if not the only African, the only Nigerian. Not the only Nigerian, the only Yoruba Nigerian, not the only Yoruba Nigerian, the only Seventh-day Adventist Yoruba Nigerian. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but oof. And of course, people will tease you a lot. Children are mean. So yeah, I felt odd a lot of times. I moved back. I come back to Nigeria. In my class, I was the only Americana. And that term they're giving me now to single me out again. It wasn't easy though. So many times I felt the need to just kind of like blend in just to avoid wahala. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with actually blending in if it's not going against who you are, against your values and your principles. I've stopped focusing so much on what makes me different from other people and learned to accept it and appreciate it as per that's who I am. And I now focus more on like what unites us, first of all, we're all human beings first, children of God, and we have similar interests. We're both educated, both went to the same school, but so I focus more on those things. And at the same time, I try to also be true to myself, because you can get lost in all the differences that's out there if you're not careful. You can get lost in it. There was a time I couldn't really stand up for myself because I just wanted to blend in, because I suffered from inferiority complex. Yes, but now I can, and I think it's important for everybody to kind of go through stages or situations or experiences that help them to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, be comfortable being different, and to learn to be true to yourself. So I will just share some few tips as to how to remain true to yourself, and also as much as possible avoid offending the other person. There's a subsection of psychology called crowd psychology that basically studies the behavior of people in a crowd or amongst a large group of people, and it basically helps us to understand how crowds or how others can influence an individual's behavior, social Behavior theorists basically explain that our personality, we basically switch from an individual self to a collective self when we're amongst other people. How can this help us in understanding how to stay true to ourselves and not offend people as much as possible? Because the truth is that everybody has to adapt. There's situations where you can join the crowd, especially if it's something that can help you learn more, because there's so many learning opportunities when you go somewhere different, or you find yourself in a new setting with new experiences. If you just continue to do the same thing you're doing over and over and over, you will not grow. But in those situations, how can you prevent yourself from losing your identity, from losing who you are, your true self, and also still be able to be a part of that experience and to make the best of it? First thing to do is always keep your own ideas and preferences in your mind. Even when you're amongst people and they're saying things you don't really believe in, and don't allow your memories to be distorted by that. Still keep your own ideas and your own preferences in your mind. Always keep it there. Recognize how much it hurts to disagree with others, especially if you're the minority. So if you've been in that situation where you know that you're the only one and you know how difficult it can feel, if you find somebody else maybe who is saying something that you don't completely agree with, you being able to recognize how difficult it is to disagree with them would help you know which approach to take in regards to that issue, if you decide to join that conversation or be a part of that conversation. 3, be aware of the pull look or trying to behave like those you admire, maybe those of a higher status than you, because this is very normal. If you find yourself in a situation where you're with someone with a higher class, you would want to fit in. So be cautious. Like, you actually have to be aware of your own behaviors. Know what you're doing. Be aware of yourself in that situation at all times. If you see yourself acting in ways that are not, true to yourself, it's not who you are, in order to just fit in and to try to place yourself higher than you are in that moment, just calm down a little bit. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being with people who are doing better than you. It's absolutely good, but beware of that pull when you're feeling pressured to go beyond your means and to do more than you're able just to fit in. You'll need to calm down. Number 4, if you're in a conversation and they're talking about something that you don't completely agree with, but they mention maybe some tiny parts that you do agree with, you can pick up on those parts and then add a little bit more to that. Or if you find somebody who actually has similar beliefs with you can, join them. Be a stronger army. It'll make you feel more comfortable. That's true. Even if the others aren't, just having someone else, at least one person that kind of understands you and gets you, is okay, and it'll give you more confidence to be able to express yourself. And even if you don't find that person, if they're saying so many things that you don't agree with, but they maybe say one thing or something like that you kind of agree with, you can pick up on that and kind of expand, which as you're still trying to make it clear that you don't agree with this, respectfully. Use your individuality judiciously. There are certain times when you just want to just express yourself. Yeah, I'm an activist, but it might not necessarily bring about a good result. So it's like, what's the point if you're just going to talk just to talk and nothing good is really going to come out of it? Like, pick your battles, really. If you're going to choose to really voice out your opinion on something at all, just really ask yourself, what's the reason, what's the purpose? And there are certain situations where there would be a vote or something. As much as you're trying to stay true to yourself, if the majority, because it's a democracy most times, if the majority is against your own beliefs or whatever, just don't be a sore loser. It doesn't change the fact that this is who you are and this is what you believe, but because that is what the majority has agreed on, you kind of just have to follow it. But even in following it, if you can still make it clear, you still set boundaries for yourself in order not to go against your own beliefs and values. Decide when standing out from a crowd will be beneficial to you. There are certain situations that you find yourself in that standing out can get you killed. Now, yes, I know that there are times where you would have to stand up for your faith and you would get killed for that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you putting yourself in a situation that's not necessary and speaking when it's not called for and just getting yourself into unnecessary trouble and wahala. Like, if it's not going to be beneficial, if it's not going to push what you believe, if it's not going to add to it in any way, then just really weigh out your options, you know. And the most important thing is to find your identity in Christ, because if you realize who you are in God and who He's made you to be, then there's this natural confidence that comes from within, and that boldness to be able to really stand, because you know who you are, and you've come to love and appreciate that person that God created you to be. So you don't need to feel, you know, threatened by other people or bad about yourself. So that's the major thing, finding your identity in Christ. That is it for today. I don't want this video to be too long. I feel like it's getting very long, so I'm just gonna stop here. Guys, have a great day. God bless you. Bye.